Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mayor Fatemi. We have a packed show lined up for you guys today. You're seeing right now, we're going to talk about that later on in the show. But to start off the show, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Lakers. They have Game 2 tonight against the Minnesota Timberwolves. How's LeBron James and Austin Reaves and Luka Dončić going to come back and really implicate their style of basketball into this game? How can they come back? How can they come back and win this game? Overall, what's next for this Lakers team in general? Can they take Game 2 and bring it back to Minnesota at a tied 1-1 series? From there, we're going to take a look at the New York Knicks and the Detroit Pistons. They had their game last night. The Pistons knocking off the Knicks to take Game 2. We're going to take a look at both sides of that game. We're also going to take a look at the Los Angeles Clippers. Kawhi Leonard having an unbelievable performance in general. We're going to take a look at what's next for how they can continue to improve upon their performance and what the Nuggets can really do, because they have done some good things. We're going to take a look at both sides of that game as well. And then finish off the show talking about Damian Lillard as the Bucks play the Indiana Pacers tonight. And I'll give a little bit of an update on what's next for Damian Lillard in terms of his health. But before I move any further, I'd like to ask that you please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so I see it. It also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But getting right back into it here, we're going to take a look at the Los Angeles Lakers. The same Lakers team that got absolutely blitzed at home in Game 1. We all have seen the highlight reel that Anthony Edwards put on, that the whole team put on, going 15 of 26 from three-point range, shooting 50% by the end of the game overall from three-point range. It was an abysmal performance for the Los Angeles Lakers. And it was an abysmal performance from everybody but Luka. Luka Dončić going for 37 points is never abysmal, is never something you want to sneeze at, something that you want to gloss over. But in that game, it was, I'd really say, because of the performance of Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, Anthony Edwards, players that put on an absolute show, being able to facilitate the ball, playing team basketball, playing with chemistry, everybody across the team. But the biggest thing in this game that I want to point out was the shooting. The shooting that the Minnesota Timberwolves put on was nothing short of what you just throw up your shoulders. Like, what are you supposed to do? Because that's as a viewer, as a player, I can only imagine what it was like as a player. From a viewer's perspective, it was just, what are the Lakers supposed to do? They can't miss. But at the same time, we've been lamenting this over the last 2 weeks. The Los Angeles Lakers have a defensive problem, especially down the stretch, especially in the third quarter. They not only in the third quarter do they struggle to shoot the basketball, do they struggle to get their offense going, but overall as a team, they've just really struggled from the defensive end of the ball. On that side of the ball, they haven't defended very well. In this game, obviously, I won't lie, Jared Vanderbilt had a pretty good game in Game 1, but outside of Vanderbilt, you don't really see a lot of guys playing very well on the defensive end of the ball for the Lakers. Jackson Hayes, a very young, prospering center for this team. Ever since the Anthony Davis trade, he has not been the same. Or, I mean, he's been better, but he's not to the level that Anthony Davis was. So, and then from there, if you look at going back to the offensive side of things, a big issue for this team is their bench. Outside of LeBron, Luka, and Austin Reaves, who do you really have on this team? Rui Hachimura, Gabe Vincent, Dorian Finney-Smiths, Dalton Connects of the world, Jordan Goodwins. These guys, outside of Connect, Vincent, and Finney-Smith, three players that you only really bring in to shoot the three, pick and pop kind of guys. These guys aren't really. I don't really know you. I just from just a simple viewer's perspective, I'm not even looking at the film too much. These players just are not they. It's a very shallow depth for a bench, and that's the biggest issue for this Lakers team. And yeah, there's really no other way to slice it outside of that, because as much as we know, as well as we know LeBron and Luka to play come playoff time, as well as we know they can play, as well as they do play, they can't carry the show by themselves. Even when we saw Dallas last year, we saw PJ Washington around him, Kyrie Irving, Daniel Gafford, Derek Lively, all these big men and shooters with Kyrie Irving. With I'm trying to think of another one. Clay wasn't on the team at the time. They had another that PJ Washington was a shooter as well. Luka just had pieces around him. He had a team around him. It wasn't just a couple of superstars like the Lakers have right now. The Lakers just need more depth. They need a guy to step up off the bench, a reliable player that they can turn to score points. Back in the day was Austin Reaves as a six man. This Lakers team doesn't really have a six man. That's my biggest concern with the Lakers. And if they want to try and come back in this series, if they want to win game 2, they not only have to defend better, not give up as many open threes, but they need to shoot the ball better. They need to play with team unity better. They need to play with team chemistry. They need to spread the basketball. They need to spread out the scoring. As much as you want Luka Dončić down the stretch to get a bucket, you need more than 20 points out of LeBron and Austin Reaves to have a chance of winning the series. To have a chance of winning games. You can't just expect Luka Dončić to go out there and do it night in, night out, scoring 40 a game and doing it all by himself on that end of the floor. It's just not going to work long term. Either Luka is going to fizzle out before the end of the playoffs, or he's going to get injured if you overwork him. So the Lakers have a lot of issues to work out, but I think this is more credit to the Minnesota Timberwolves than the Lakers at the same time. A Minnesota Timberwolves team that we've given a lot of criticism to, trading Karl Anthony Towns in the offseason, acquiring Julius Randle, acquiring Dante DiVincenzo, continuing to try and get rid of a big piece, a big star player in Minnesota, and continue to build the team around Anthony Edwards, give him more role players to work with, a deeper team, trying to emulate, kind of in a way, emulate the Celtics or the Dallas Mavericks from a shooter's perspective. The Timberwolves don't have the big men that the Mavs have. Do not get me wrong. But if you switch the way the Mavs have constructed their team around big men, and switch it to more two-way players, role players, shooters, that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves have built. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Mike Conley, Rudy Gobert doesn't count. Julius Randle, Naz Reid. They have Dante DiVincenzo. I just named 5 guys, just 5 guys off the top of my head that are just young, up and growing guys that have incredible potentials. Both two-way players can shoot the ball, can play good defense, can rebound well. That's what you really want, and that's what the Minnesota Timberwolves are building over there in Minnesota. And led by Anthony Edwards, who is continuing to perform year in, year out, continuing to get better in the playoffs. This year, in Game 1, he was downright spectacular in Game 1, only finishing with 22 points, but being a nucleus for this offense. He also did get hurt in that game. I want to mention that. He had a little. It looked like they called it a cramp. I would call it more of a calf strain. I'm not saying anything like that, but the way he landed a little awkwardly on his leg, and immediately reached for the calf. You don't really immediately fall into a Charlie horse or fall into a calf cramp out of nowhere. You can't, when you land on your leg, especially after jumping off a fallaway jumper, you don't land on your leg and just immediately grab it for no reason, especially your calf. So I would call it a calf strain. But outside of that 5-minute stretch that Anthony Edwards was not in the lineup, the Minnesota Timberwolves still continue to perform well. The Lakers did make a little bit of a comeback. I won't lie. I think they went on a 10-0 run while Anthony Edwards was gone, cutting the lead to 12. But as soon as Anthony Edwards came back, they went back. The lead went back up to 20. This is the spark that Anthony Edwards provides for this team. And it's going to be really interesting to see what JJ Redick does to combat it, because he's going to have his hands full. Before I move any further, also I want to apologize for the leaf blower outside. I need to go out there in time to go away. Hopefully he leaves in about 10 minutes or so. But yeah, like I said, this game just had more about. I had more of an issue with. I want to give more credit to the way the Minnesota Timberwolves played than the Los Angeles Lakers, because this is not the same. This is not new things for the Lakers that we've discussed. Shooting, lack of depth in their bench, and defense have been the 3 Achilles heels. And the third quarter have been the 4 Achilles heels for this Lakers team down the stretch here as the season is closed. Specifically, after LeBron got injured at the tail end of the season. But we know Luka Dončić is continuing to grow into this offense, continuing to grow as a player, grow into the culture here at LA. He really might not fully get there by the time the season ends, but we can still hope. When we know he's still an NBA player, we saw 2 nights ago, he went off for almost 40 points. Vintage Luka Dončić from Dallas. But the thing is, we haven't seen this Lakers team with the same success as Dallas. So how will that affect him mentally as these playoffs continue on? Yeah, that's all I can really say. For my prediction, I would say this is going to be a really close game, a much closer game than Game 1. I don't think the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to shoot just as well as they did in Game 1, but whoever wins will win in about 5-10 point margin. The Lakers must play better defense if they're going to win this game. If they can lock down the Timberwolves offense and double Anthony Edwards and make somebody else beat you, they have a chance. I won't lie. They still have a chance. Part of me says the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to take this one, but I got to go with my earlier prediction before the playoffs. The Lakers are still going to win this series in 6 games. I got to pick the Lakers, because if they go down 2-0 at home, if they go down 2-0 for their first 2 games at home and have to go into Minnesota down 2-0, I don't know if I can pick the Lakers again. I don't know. But we'll see how this all transpires later tonight. This game tips off at, I believe, 10 o'clock tonight. So it's going to be all full steam ahead as we look forward to this game. Coming up next, I'm going to take a short break, but coming up next, we're going to take a look at the New York Knicks and Detroit Pistons game. Unbelievable game all around. Unbelievable finish with the Knicks almost finishing on a comeback. I believe it was a 12-0 comeback. They went on a little bit of a comeback in the third quarter and almost finished it in the fourth. We're going to get into everything about this game. And yeah, I'll be back. I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, it's going to be New York Knicks basketball. Stay tuned.